Welcome back, everybody. It's been a few weeks. I've been lazy, haven't put out a show on the channel. I think, oh, here we go. I'm outside right now because the conference room is taken in my co-working building, and now there's trucks driving by. But as long as you are not picking up on all that terrible background noise, perfect. We should be good to
I
go.
can't hear anything on my end, so it's sounding good.
But we do have some shows backed up now, so we'll be putting those out. Just kind of getting back in. We had a little bit of a lull there, just in not only the guests, but just like the recordings and everything, because we both got super busy. We were running around, and we talked about this on the last one. That's what we talked about, is how sometimes you put things off that are really, really important, and in just because we put things off that are really, really important because they may not be making money or moving the levers too much. In their place, you do things that, like, in the long term won't fucking matter. And that's what we got into on the last show, and that was a good one. And I'm still doing it. We're still doing it, but now we're back. Now we're back into it. You got a nice new spot there. You got a lot going on down there. I don't know how much you want to talk about, but we're here today.
God, yeah, lots going on. So I'm in my new 2-bedroom condo all by myself. So as a lot of you know from the beginning of our podcast recording, I was in I would say serious relationship with a girl who had a 8-year-old son for the last 14 months. And then we split ways about 12 days ago, actually, on Valentine's Day. We broke up on good old Valentine's Day.
Why not?
Why not, right? Like, and of course, like I went out and bought her 1,200 pesos flowers, like $60, and then after I handed her the flowers, we break up. I'm like, we could have told us before I spent $60 on you, and then so yeah, like I'm going through a lot of emotional process with it. There's a lot of sadness and grief, and then there's a lot of anger and hatred. I won't dive into too much of it, but I'll dive in a little bit because I want to be authentic and real and share everything I can.
It's up to you, man. Totally up to you, man.
I mean, she's already with another guy 11 days after we broke up. And I believe that she was emotionally cheating on me with this individual, which is also her business partner and also her mentor and her coach. So like I had a fear that this would happen months ago, that, the longer he was in our lives, the further we get apart. And then sure enough, when we split up, she wants different things. And then I see that they're together already. So it's not like, there was this, usually like there's a period that you have like a month or two of just being alone and being by yourself and regrouping and rethinking and learning to, love yourself again. Is just like, boom, into another relationship already. So like, I feel like they were already in a relationship theoretically before we ended it. So it was just like, there was no transition period. It was like, oh, I'm with this guy, boom, now I'm with another guy. So dealing with a lot of anger, a lot of frustration with that. And, but I'm turning it into like fuel, more or less. Like I've been very focused on business. I've been, I got a lot of good prospects and some big contracts are going to be starting this week. We won't dive into them right now because we don't have them. But we got like $30,000 of the projects that should be coming in the next week or so. And then on top of that, I've been hitting the gym every single day. I've been playing tennis at nighttime, going to yoga. I've been reading, journaling. So I've been doing a lot of I've been dealing with this more of a holistic approach of like just taking care of myself and growing. And then, the anger that I have for my ex-partner and her new lover / business partner / coach / mentor. I've never liked him to begin with. Like I didn't like him for a very long time. And now I really hate him. So instead of me just venting and messaging them, so I just block them off everything. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, everything. I don't want to see their posts. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want them reaching out to me. Like the more I see it, the more angry I get, and I don't want any more anger. I already have enough of that. But yeah, I'm dealing it with a very holistic approach where instead of past me in past relationships, I would have went down can I put a Band-Aid on my feelings?
Yeah.
What can
I would have gone straight to the bar, dude. I would have been at the bar every day.
That's what I would have done too, at the bar, doing drugs, picking up women, and that's just a Band-Aid to actually the real problem, right? Like I want to be able to process what's going on and the emotions and that kind of stuff, as opposed to doing that. So I chose a place that's out of Centro. I'm kind of isolated. I mean, isolated in a 500 unit 4-tower complex with pools and stuff, but I'm away from the distraction, I'm away from the women, I'm away from the noise, and I've been focusing and channeling it on business. But it's been tough. I mean, like last night I couldn't really sleep because I saw a post about her and her new partner traveling to his hometown this summer, and I'm like, it was like Yeah, and I was up all night, fucking having nightmares and dreams, and I woke up at 4 this morning, and I've been up since. So it's been a lot. It's been a lot. But like I said, I've been channeling it in such a proper way, and I instead of me reaching out to them and lashing out, being like, "Why did you do this?" Blah 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 blah. I'm just like internalizing it, like, you know what? I don't need to know why. I don't need to know the answers. I just need to know what to do next. And that's a big thing. Is I used to always lash out, and I would always get angry and, you know, hostile in a verbal way, not like verbally assault, but I just say whatever came up to my mind. And I'm trying to like release it internally and externally, but to myself or to like good friends, or I have a therapist that I talk to once a week. But yeah, it's been a lot of shit.
Yeah, man, it's and you're right about like the way we used to deal with things. I mean, you're literally probably like doing textbook. You're probably doing everything right. You know, like you're literally doing everything in the right direction. You know, all the exercise, all the I know you eat well and all that stuff too. You're not doing what you and I used to, what we would have done, which is, and look, sometimes it's fun to go downtown and drink and all that, but it usually ends up into the next day being everything comes back in a flood. So you're doing everything right. And it still sucks. You know, I actually was listening to somebody the other day talking about stuff like this. You know how there's like they say there's the stages, but they said that's not necessarily true. They've learned that like that you don't just go through like the stages per se. Some stages can come back. Like it's so like during the course of a day, you can go through 3 different phases of it, and then the next day it starts over. So it's not like they say in the manual where it's like you're going to be sad and then bargaining and then upset. Sometimes in one day you can go through all those fucking emotions, which I'm sure you've experienced. You know, so it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, the first like 3 days was mostly sadness and like crying and like, you know, because, you know, to me, I was looking at it from a loss. Like I'm losing a part of myself, and there's this part of me that's no longer there. And what I realized was because even when I first got into the relationship, I didn't truly love myself. So when I met her and there's so much passion, love coming to me, I was using her affection to fill my cup. So when we split up, I was like, well, where's my love and where's my passion now, right? Because it was from her, so it wasn't from an internal point. So that's why I say I'm doing like, you know, like textbook process, because I'm like, I need to learn to love myself more, right? Like take care of myself, go to the gym, and you know, for the last 14 months, I neglected myself quite a bit. I'd still go to the gym and that kind of stuff, but I dictated my life and my schedule around the kid, around school, around her when she's going on work trips, when I got to take care of the house. And like, there's all of these things. And now I literally have 24 hours a day to just do whatever I want to do. If I want to have a nap, I take a nap. If I want to go out, I go out. If I want to work longer, if I want to go, like whatever the process might be, I can give myself that grace. And so what I noticed before is we would have scheduled days or nights where it'd be like our alone time. Like, you know, Thursday night is my night to go out, or Sunday night or whatever it was. And, you know, she would have whatever day it was, something like that. And I realized that it felt forced, because let's say Sunday's my day. Well, what if Sunday comes around and I don't want to do anything? I just want to sit at home and do nothing. But because I feel obligated that that's my only time to be able to go do something, I force myself to do something. And I don't truly enjoy doing it. Where now I have the full autonomy. It's like, I want to go for a road trip, I go for a road trip. I don't want to go, I don't want to go. So it's played a very big part in that. But yeah, like, I mean, like today I have a lot of anger. A lot of anger. I was at the gym and I was working out for an hour and a half, and I'm still just like furious about the situation.
In order to not get in as much trouble for what I'm about to say, I'm going to say that both men and women both do this, although I think women do it a little bit more. Is it's rare. Usually, when a woman breaks up with a guy, they usually have at least some thought or some feelings for somebody else. Like it doesn't mean that they're intimate or anything like that, but it's
Yeah.
there. It's very rarely do women just like stop without like another option. I keep my voice down. I'm in the middle. I'm in public now, but that tends to be true. So yeah, so I mean, your premonitions were probably correct. Like, you know, this is something's because usually you know how it is, or you think something might be going on, like even if it's just a little bit, and you're like, no, you know, because you don't want to believe it, right?
Yeah, and I voiced this concern of mine months ago regarding the gentleman. I don't want to call him a gentleman. Regarding, well, I'm going to say gentleman because the other word I'm going to use is not very nice, and we'll probably have to bleep it out. Regarding the other individual, and I voiced that concern. I was like, yeah, like, I mean, I believe that longer he's in our lives, the further we're going to become. And so I actually did speak on that, and then, you know, she kind of talked to me into like, oh no, he's a good influence. He's going to help the relationship. And I was right. I was right. The longer they were together, the more that they built their intimacy connection, because their intimacy facilitators and they teach people how to be intimate with other people to build your own relationships. I'm like, well, clearly it doesn't work, because if you're teaching people how to be intimate with others to create intimacy in their relationships, then why did you steal my girlfriend with your intimacy games? It's just like, it's bizarre. It's a bizarre
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah, for sure.
I forgot where lost. Yeah, but I mean, what you said about that, like usually women have some sort of something like a backup plan of some sort. And it's funny because I didn't. I was all in. Like I didn't. I don't. I mean, I have a few girls that I talk to, but they're good friends or their business partners or associates or clients, stuff like that. Like I had nothing lined up, nothing, right? And so it's this hard feeling that like one person was all in and the other person was like dipping their toes in, right?
Humans are fucking weird, man. It's like it's very rare. And people don't even get on the same page at the same time. Somebody could be all in while the other person is not. Then the other person convinces, like, oh, you know what? I am all in on this. And by that time, that other person's pulled away. Life is fucking weird, man. It's absurd.
It
It's
is
really
absurd.
absurd.
But I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing, the biggest takeaway that I learned from this is when I have an intuition of something, listen to it more. And I realized that in previous relationships, my intuition was shamed as insecurities, right?
Oh,
Like
for sure.
like
Yeah.
if I said, oh, like, I don't like your friend Mark, like I think he's trying to sleep with you. It's like, oh, quit being insecure. It's just Mark. And then sure enough, Mark tries sleeping with her. I'm like, not insecurity. So now the lesson I learned is listen to that intuition more often and don't shame yourself as an insecurity. There might be a little, you might be insecure about yourself, but then you have that intuition thing. So there might be a little bit of both, but listen to your intuition because it's almost always right. And I'm very proud of myself for at least mentioning what my intuition was to my partner at the time, saying, hey, I have a concern about this. Moving forward in my next relationship, I'm going to actually act on those intuitions. Like, look, like I don't want you doing this with this person. I don't think it's good. I'm not insecure. I just got a feeling this isn't going to work out. And they can have the decision. They can have the autonomy to either listen to me or not, but I got to stand my ground more with that. So
we all do get accused of that insecurities, and I've accused women of that too, and they were usually right too. By the way, like I don't like you hanging out with her. I'm like, you're wrong. Well, they weren't wrong. They were wrong. I was one being an asshole, but that's a good way to put it, though. It's important for everybody to hear that you can, as the garbage truck goes by, you can say it, you can voice your opinion and be like, look, it's just I'm not comfortable with this, and then you'll know pretty quick if we say she, but if the other person is like super defensive and weird about it, then there probably is something that alarm there. But
I mean, as abrupt and tragic as it may have ended, I do have a lot of respect for her as well in a lot of areas. I mean, right now I don't respect her decisions. I think what her and her new partner are doing is gross, in my opinion. Especially him being in a position of authority and power as a mentor and a coach and a friend and a business partner. I think he uses, she looks up to him for answers and he just manipulates whatever he wants. But
sure.
prior to that, I felt like there was a lot of love and a lot of passion. And she taught me a lot about being authentic and vulnerable and how to communicate properly. And she taught me about, what are my needs and desires, where I didn't really voice that in past relationships. I'd always kind of like, be like, well, what do you want to do? Or like, like when it came to like love making, it's like, like, yeah, I'm down for whatever you want. Where I wouldn't actually voice what I wanted done or what I want to do. So like I learned a lot from this relationship, and there's a lot of great things that I could say about her as an individual. I think she's an amazing person. She's like, as much as I'm angry right now at the situation, I am looking at it from a different point of view as well. And there's so much that she has to offer, and I feel bad that she's this is the story that I'm creating, at least, is that I believe that she's been brainwashed and manipulated into this. And I think that because she was in a position of being vulnerable when she got laid off from her job and she had no money coming in and she was dealing with, broken relationships with other family members, stuff like that, the more that she got involved into this world, the more that she's like, sucked into the vortex. So I do feel bad that, again, I could be wrong. It could be might not be sucked into it. She might be going down the right path, and that's exactly where her life is meant to go. But from my perspective, yeah, I have some sadness that she's going down that.
Well, in the best case scenario, like you can leave each other better than you found each other. Which, even though in the moment, right now, that may not feel that way, but like
Yeah.
look all the improvements you made. I mean, shit, like we were doing dumbass shit when I was down there last time, and you haven't been drinking. You haven't, and look, and that's not to say that you could always go have drinks again. Whatever, it's not a big deal. But you did have a pretty healthy year there, or year and a half or so. So there was a lot of good that came out of that. But it's
Absolutely.
weird though. I think about this because when you're telling me this morning, I think about it like I think about organized religion. It's kind of like one of the whenever you have like a group, like something organized where somebody's like a leader of it, they tend to get like their ego gets inflated, and they tend to be good at manipulating. So it's kind of like, I don't want to throw terms like cult and stuff around, but it does have a vibe of like there's a leader who starts getting attention, then people listen to him, and then that's
Well,
even easier.
it turns culty when the leader starts sleeping with the people in the business,
Right, yeah, oh
which
yeah.
has happened on numerous occasions in that business. So
Sure.
yeah, I get the cult vibe from that for sure. But
Yeah.
and like you said earlier, like or just now, yeah, I mean, again, from that relationship, I've grown so much, right? Like I'm able to process emotions, and I'm allowing myself to cry if I want to cry. I'm journaling, I'm taking notes, I'm more focused on business. I haven't drank in March 21st. My birthday will be a year. Like
It's
there's
on then. March
yeah,
20.
oh yeah, I'm
It's
gonna have a
on then.
drink on my birthday for sure, just to mark the 1 year mark. But I mean, like from where I was when I first met her to where I am now is astronomically in a better position. She definitely helped me catapult my life into a higher place where I am now. And I'm not saying if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. But through that relationship of learning and growing and reading and discovering about myself and all these cool things that she was aware about, like she was definitely a big teacher for me. She taught me a lot of amazing things, what I like, and she taught me a lot about what I don't like, right? So like I'm very very thankful for the relationship. I'm very happy that I had that relationship, even if it ended the way that it's ended now, and there's anger and animosity and hatred right now. I still am very thankful for the relationship. I like happy I was in
Yeah.
that one.
And most people don't come to a lot of the realizations that you have in that short time. And most people never get around to it, or they're like 60, 70 years old, or never.
Yep.
So you're still like way ahead of the game, even though it's like but
Yeah.
fuck. Well, I mean, you're in a perfect place down there. I mean, we've both been down there quite a bit. You've shit How many years have you been down there now, full time? It's been a couple, right?
I've been in Playa for almost 2.5 years, and in Mexico 3.5.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no shortage of fun things to do. It's like we've said on previous shows. You can be super healthy and do all the guru things and all the spiritual stuff, or you can go get a bag and get a bunch of, or you can do both. There's
You
so much
both.
to do down there. So there's worse places to be, and especially since your fucking weather's been so nice. But yeah, man, I don't know how to bring it all back around, other than I know it's been a rough couple weeks for you, but it sounds like like there's literally nothing no advice I can give you, because it sounds like you're doing everything right as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I got my week scheduled with meetings and business stuff, and just being healthy and reading a lot. Every night I'll watch like an hour of Netflix just to kind of like I before I used to use Netflix as like a time waster, like I don't want to do anything, but now I'm using it as like an escape from reality. Like it allows me to I'm watching like a very fictional show called The Witcher, so it's like it allows me to be in a different universe. So like I completely forget about what's going on in the world, and I just watch an hour of this episode. So, but yeah, I mean it's all about really having different perspectives in life. And I think this can apply to business as well, right? Like when something doesn't work out, like what what positive can you take away from any situation, right? As terrible as going through a breakup and a separation, and like I used to be a stepfather to her son. I used to run a household. I used to like provide and take care and stuff like that. Well, like what are the positive things that I learned, right? I learned how to be a role model, how to be a father figure. I learned about what I like and what I don't like. I learned about how to have a better connection with myself. I learned how to run a household with a family. So all of these skills that I was learning through the last year and a half are now going to apply for the rest of my life in my next relationship, my next partner. And if I ever have my own kids, I know how to handle them from ages 7 to 8 now. So like I got that year. I know how to do it that year.
I recorded with Ori yesterday, and the theme of the show was and this was a business, but it applies to this too. Business advice is you're too smart to fail for too long. Meaning, you know what you got to do. You have the tools. You have the motivation. You have the wherewithal. You know everything you're supposed to do. And this applies to relationships and business. But when something goes wrong, even if it's really bad for like 90 days or whatever it is, any failure, you're too smart to fail for too long. Meaning like eventually it's going to turn back around again, So yeah, but yeah, well, as long as you've like you're in that place now. I think I remember where it is. That's where that movie theater is, right?
Yeah, right
Is that,
by
yeah,
Plaza
yeah.
Las Americas. Yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
2-year-old building, brand new. Like, it's nice. It's quiet. It's peaceful. I can just work. I got my office set up behind me here, so like I'm
Yeah,
always looking outside. I have the pool, so like, I think
yeah,
yesterday I was working till like 1 o'clock. I'm like, I'm gonna go sit in the sun. So I just like laid in a sun chair and went for a
yeah.
swim, and I came back up, had a nap, went back to work. So it's a very good like recouping phase for me. And unlike my ex partner, I'm not jumping into another relationship right away. Like, I think that's just weird to do. Like,
It
yeah.
just doesn't what doesn't work, and then you find, and then typically it's a dopamine thing, and then
Well,
eventually,
but
yeah,
they're in business together. Like, they're
yeah,
running their intimacy games, whatever thing that is. So like they're building that together. So maybe it'll work out. Maybe they're gonna live happily ever after. And being with me helped her get to that whatever life. And if that's the case, awesome. Like, I'm happy she found the one that she's gonna spend her life with. So yeah, like, I
or
mean,
maybe
if
it'll
that
go to shit. Maybe it'll go to shit, and they'll tank the business because they
maybe,
can't.
yeah,
Which
maybe it will.
that happens a
Maybe it
lot
will.
too. That happens a lot.
Yep. Yeah, oh
Like, oh
yeah.
yeah, we can make this work, and all of a sudden, boom, everything goes to shit. So, but
It's
obviously,
gonna be one of the two. One of the two, and
yeah, yeah,
the vengeful, spiteful part of me, like, I hope it fucking blows up. But at the same time, like, she's an amazing woman. She's got a kid, so like I want her to be able to be okay and on her feet, and I know she always will be. So like I don't want to put that in the universe. Like, I hope it blows up. I hope it fails for him. I hope he blows up and he fails. But I hope she goes strong and just crushes life and lives a happy life and takes care of her son and all these things. But yeah,
absolutely,
it's a
yeah,
weird process. I mean, and like right now,
fuck
like
yeah,
I have zero interest in finding women or dating or anything like that. Like, this next month is just, it's about me. It's about building and growing and getting so much work coming in and money and health. And like, I just want to like trim down and get super healthy and just get cut and start running or doing cardio, like a lot more cardio activity and playing tennis. And it's time for me to focus. Cause the last year, like in the relationship, this is the last thing I'll say too. I always
sure,
felt about the last thing, but on the relationship part, I always felt that I was 2 steps behind in that relationship. I was 2 steps behind financially. I was 2 steps behind spiritually. I was 2 steps behind mentally. So like, I was always coming from a place of like lacking, where I was like, okay, now I got to learn this. And like, she never pushed it on me. Like, she never said, hey, you need to do this. But from her going through her growth and her experience, I saw what work was and what needed to be done. So like, so I never felt really that secure in the relationship, because I was always like, just crawling, like, oh fuck, okay, now we got to go traveling. I got to make more money. So I was always, scraping by financially, which as a male, and she wanted a man as a provider. It was stressful for me, because it's like, oh, we want to go on this trip. I can't do it. I don't have the money for it. Or like, I just paid $6,000 in rent and car payments and every other bill. Like, I don't have any more money. So now everything that I earn is mine. Every dollar I make is mine. I'm not spending it on anybody else. I'm building my wealth, my income, my legend, my legacy. It's all my money now.
yeah. That's amen to that. I couldn't put it. I love that. Giving me making me excited. I'm on decaf and I'm getting all amped up over here. So yeah, but I really I know it's not very easy to talk about that stuff, and I know that the listeners will appreciate that too. You've always been open and transparent, and it's one of the things I admire about you. So it sucks that you're going through all this, but dude, how it'll play itself out. Like there is an end date. It's like I was telling you the other week. It's like nobody wants to hear at the time. Just give it time. It'll get better, because when you're in it, you're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But it's true. It really is true. This little separation in time does fucking work. So,
Yep.
I don't know. But
Oh yeah.
anyway, that's,
Time will heal all. Time will heal all. And
yeah.
I mean, I'm already on a good step. Like, I mean, I'm still crying every now and then, but it's more of
Sure,
like,
yeah.
it's like anger, and then I'm like crying, and then it's frustration, then I'm crying, and there's no part of me that wants to be back in that relationship, because the last few months was just, we were so
Sure.
unaligned in what we wanted, and she was going down this spiritual path and this like, wanting to, yeah, I won't dive into that part of it, but like
Right, yeah.
just things that weren't in alignment for me, and things that I was like, it felt like if I wanted to continue the relationship, it was inevitable that I'd have to do something. Like, there'd be something that she
Yeah.
wanted to do. I didn't want to do it, but if I wanted to stay in the relationship, it'd be inevitable that we'd have to do it, and I just wasn't aligned with
Yeah.
that. So
For sure. And it's good that you can reflect back and realize that because a lot of people do that where like things are usually deteriorating for quite a while. I've done that a couple
Yeah.
times where like a relationship was going bad for like a year. I just didn't want to see it. I just like, oh no, whatever. Or I'm like, like, okay, fine, I'll change.
Yeah. Maybe if
And
I love her
yeah.
enough, maybe if I love her enough, she'll change her mind.
Yeah, and that never works. That never works. But it sucks. But once you get a little separation from it, you're like, you know what? It was okay, but it wasn't going to get better. If anything, it was either going to stay the same or maybe take a turn for
Yeah.
somebody. It was going to take a turn for the worse. So, but I don't know.
Took its turn.
Yeah, it took its turn. Well, anyway, hopefully I can come down there this summer. I've got a bunch of plans and some friends that are coming down. We'll talk about that later, though. But we do appreciate everybody. I figure we won't put any business advice into this because this is a heavy hitting show as is. So we appreciate everybody who's liking, subscribing, and everything else. And next show we'll get into who knows what. Oh, there you go. Is it thumbs down, thumbs down, or thumbs up?
I don't know why I did that. There's a thumbs up.
This stupid recording. But anyway, thanks everybody. We appreciate you guys. And we've got 3 episodes in the bank. We've got one with Crystal and Star that has to go out. And then a show that we did previous to this that we talked about a little bit that was really good advice. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.
Guys.
To be continued.